Okay, call the meeting to order, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us present, so all 5 of us are voting members. As usual, Mike is a voting member.
All right.
That's his job.
Okay. I'm getting used to it,
Yeah. So, did we all get the minutes from Don?
I move that we approve the minutes as written.
And I'll second that.
And they were very concise and clean
they're
and
good.
Clarifying. Thank you.
All those in favor of approving the minutes? The minutes are approved. Okay, consideration of Nature's Wilderness plans for the phase 2 of the campground development. David, I'm handing it over to you on this part.
Is there something happening between now and then?
Yes.
What happened between now and last time?
I got the new stuff for everybody.
You go.
New stuff.
I'm Derek. With NWR RVO, how are you?
You're here before,
I'm Derek, how are you?
I'm Mike.
Pleasure. I know this gentleman, how are you?
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir, I'm Derek. Nice to meet you. How are you, sir? I'm Derek.
Thank you.
So I know some of your concerns specifically have to do with the envelope, like the acreage and, back part of the park on the inside, okay? I know for phase 2, we have proposed, I don't know, all these additional sites. I want to try to keep it very simple, okay? I'm looking for sites here. These are the log cabins. I assume you're familiar with the property? Here are the log cabins. When you come up, there's a swimming pool that I'd like to get rid of. I'd like to add some pull-through transient sites here that are RV-only, non-log cabins. It's all on upland. That land is cleared. And then directly across, I'd like to put some RV trailer sites here, no log cabins. And I'd like to add 4 here. This is all upland. This is a total of 20 sites that I'm asking for. And I'm hoping that you'll consider it. I believe it probably checks your concerns or addresses your concerns, because it really is at the main entrance of the park. I'm not crossing over any, this is the upper pond. I'm not crossing over this river here. In fact, we're getting rid of this. We're getting rid of all these here, okay? I don't even know if I want to get to these. At some point maybe, but for now, baby steps. I would just like you guys, or you gentlemen, to consider 20. And I would like to possibly relocate the swimming pool over here. So 20 transient sites, non-cabin. They will also have their own septic. It's not tapping into any existing septic. The all-new septic for this, and this as well. That's it. And now I will have, currently there are 60 permits that are being utilized. The additional 20 will bring it to 80.
So that's up here.
Okay? And I believe in the CUP, it goes up to 171, but I've been thinking now and I'm looking for an additional 20, which gives me a total of 80 total. Okay?
So that's 78 through 98.
So I believe this is 8 here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe this is 8 here for a total of 16.
Okay.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's how we, so 8, 19, and then 24. I'll take 20. If I can get 24, that's great, but I'll take 20.
So you're asking for 24.
If I can get it, yeah.
Don't back down.
I'm asking for
before we
24,
push,
but yeah. So all of my infrastructure, I have a lot of infrastructure. In fact, it's all in. All I'd have to add is the septic. My electric's in, my wells are in, and it's literally at the main entrance of the park. Not crossing over any bodies of water, not pulling any trees out of there. It's utilizing existing infrastructure at the main entrance of the park.
This whole grassy area, Joe, when you pull in, the community fire pit is. So literally, not one tree needs to be cut or anything, it's just.
Yeah, if you pulled up there now, you'd see on the left where the swimming pool was built. I want to get rid of it. Just put pull-through trailers there, and if you directly across, there's a big open field. It looks like a football field. I'd like to put 8 there, or 8 or 10, and then back here where the glamping cabins are, this is upland, and I think I can get two more in here. In fact, we're not even gonna develop this, I don't think we'll ever do this, okay? But we've got, I think, there's a little bit of upland in here. Not going down here, nor here, not coming up this road. I'm most likely not going to do this, I don't really want, that to me looks expensive for me to do. So I'm gonna stay away from that.
So this, what you gave us,
Yep.
you eventually, when you get through phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, you wanna do all of this?
So, right now I'm focused on just 20.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'm trying to, you put the piece of paper in front of me.
Yep.
I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
What spurred this was Gary had met with the town, and they suggested a option of permitting the whole thing at once, doing 20, then with the condition that the code enforcement officer could release 20 sites a year, if everything was up to what the standards were. So that way it would just go through the planning board process once. So that we had changed this to do kind of bite-sized pieces, so for the future, including this section here, which avoided, because if there were 20 lots, to get to these ones down here before, there'd be an awful lot of infrastructure to get there. So that's what spurred the change in our plans to allow for 20 lot kind of sections to be broken off in the subsequent years, after this section. So that's what spurred the whole change of this, but overall, like, there's still 172 sites on here. It's still gonna need, for the full project, it would still need the same level of DEP permitting and everything that we described last time, and it was in the report. Everything is still up to the same standards. It would still match all the same rules and everything else defined in the CUP. It would just be this new layout, which would avoid this bridge crossing. It would actually avoid, additional work within the buffers here for these sections, and then just, like I mentioned, then 20 kind of unit bite-sized pieces to be broken out in the subsequent years as things go on. And then what Derek described was these up here for where the is right now. And so we didn't update any cover letter. We wanted to bring it here and present to you guys the proposed change, and then talk it through, and then should you guys want to do anything else, should we proceed with this way, we can update our cover letter to address on the new kind of layout changes and stuff. I just wanted to bring it here, present it to you guys right now.
So do the numbers again, existing is 60?
Yeah, there's 60 there
If
now.
you don't mind if I speak, Dave, this is very simple what I'm proposing. Right now, we have 60, okay? I'm asking for 24. I'm not cutting trees down, I'm not going near any wetlands, it's all upland, it's right at the main entrance, I'm not going over any brooks. As soon as you come in the entrance,
And then I get all
you'll be
that,
able to, yeah.
just trying to focus on numbers, so you
So-
have 60,
Correct.
you're asking for 24 more.
Correct,
And then you've got, so that's 84, and then eventually you want to do 104,
I may, I'm
124,
not sure.
144, 164.
Yeah, so what's shown, all the new lots is 112 new ones, which would bring it to the same total we had originally proposed of the 172. So the 24 here out of the 112, then this remainder would be left after that.
No, I get it. Yeah.
So the total number of lots on this plan is the same as the total number on the last plan, which is 172.
Yeah, it looks like a subdivision, that's all.
By the way, no residential on this property. I own 17 campgrounds in the Northeast. I am well vested in the camping business. I've built thousands of homes. I have no intention of building a home on this property, ever. I don't want to ever build another house in Warrenville, Illinois.
They'd all be the RV sites, like I mentioned last time in the previous layout, because that covers all the stormwater aspects.
The loops at the end were our discussion with the fire chief. You can pull down in, loop around, drive out, and pull down, cut jig around, and park area.
Right.
It flows, it works better.
And the thought was later on in the future, we kind of break them out in sections so that all the loops will be constructed, so it's for the safety of emergency vehicles.
So it was 172 total, 24 new, and 60 existing.
Correct, so it would be, I'd have 84 that I'm utilizing.
84.
And I'll say it again, I don't know if I'd expand it after that, okay? It's all, you know, economy driven, supply and demand. Even if you were to give me all these permits today, I wouldn't build them. I don't know if I have the audience for them, and I certainly don't wanna spend that kind of money. I wanna slowly expand this park as needed.
And which are the 24 new ones here?
So they are right along here, up here,
Right at the main
and a couple-
entrance.
And a couple right here.
Can you refer to the numbers?
Yep, so they are, they'd be 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, and 85.
Okay.
Then 86 through 96, and I believe 97 through 101.
Where's, 97,
Yeah, they're kind of right down at the bottom here.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And then there'd be the other
Yeah,
one.
4.
We had shown,
These 4? Yeah. It's 5, actually.
So you're increasing your density down towards the main lodge area. Versus
Correct.
where you had before.
And the infrastructure's already there. I mean, I already have, as you know, I have cabins right here. I have glamping cabins here. This is all upland. I mean, this is a beautiful field that's, you know, I maintain every day. This is cleared. All this land is cleared. I have infrastructure in, behind it, in front of it. I wanna get rid of the swimming pool.
And what do you say the reason is for not doing this? It's your infrastructure costs, is that?
Personally, I don't, it's probably a little expensive to do this. It's a lot of road back here, okay?
and if they're gonna be broken out into 20 per
Yeah,
year.
I've already spent a lot of money down here. I'd get a better return on my investment if I put it down here and I utilize current infrastructure. I don't wanna have to put all that in there. Nice problem to have if I get there at some point and I have that kind of money, but right now, I just wanna kinda focus on where my current infrastructure is. And it's only 24 sites. That's it. And then if I need more, maybe I come back next year, but for now, I'm just asking for 24, that's it.
And then grow and decent down.
I don't, to be honest with you, I don't even wanna talk about this. All I wanna focus on are these right here.
So, 7 RV sites?
They'd all be
They'd
RV
all-
sites, no cabin sites at all.
Okay.
It's all
All
transient.
RV. Okay, I got it.
They'll have, you know, brand new septic for those areas. I'm not tapping into any existing septic. I'll be utilizing, I'll be pulling some electric that's already there. We already have wells there,
Wells where? How many wells?
2 wells in the property. They're both shown in the plan. There's one right here,
Yeah.
and there's one right here in the corner. So this whole section here is fed off of this well.
Okay. So all these 24 will be off that one well,
Correct.
which you have capacity in.
absolutely. I don't have to move earth. You know, some very minor trenching for each, you know, to drop the electric in.
The sites that you're going to put in, do they have similar, do you have existing similar sites already?
I do.
Absolutely.
Where,
Yeah,
where
I'll
is
show you.
it?
So right here, okay, RV site, RV site, RV site, site, all the way up here.
37 through 60?
Correct, yeah, and these are seasonals up here. So you've got your cabins here, which is 3 cabins, then we have like, I don't know, maybe 9 down here or something. These are like glamping cabins, but, you know, I even mentioned to Mr. Pierce earlier, I'm not a big fan of cabins, to be honest with you, because I don't like cleaning them. I'd rather someone just pull in, plug in, and then pull out the next day. And the 24 that we're proposing is exactly that.
Wasn't there some size requirements for the RV, like you had to have a certain amount of space?
Yeah, he'd probably know it.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head, but we've got them all sized out here where they fit.
How about these other ones that you don't have?
Yeah, we would get them, they all are ample size to fit in there for RVs.
Right now they're showing as cabin right now.
No, that's just the lot numbers, they're just a square, it's just a square on the numbers.
Yeah, we should have put it in a little differently, because visually you think it's a cabin, it's really not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made the same comment. It looks like a cabin.
That's right.
It's not. Everything I'm proposing is for an RV to back in or pull through,
Yeah.
plug in and go.
The squares are
You're
just,
gonna say we're showing all our.
I agree, and we'll, moving forward, we'll change that.
yeah, they're just, we just had done a square border on the numbers, but they're all campsites, RV sites.
So the things that say existing septic area and existing septic tank,
Yep.
those are dump stations?
No, there's only one dump station, and that's up here. The dump station right here.
okay.
That's the only dump station we have in the property.
But we will be putting in new septic for the 24 that I'm proposing to
So
you
all
tonight.
24 are gonna have their own?
Absolutely. I'm not touching any other septic on the property. It'll have its own septic for the new 24 sites, if I'm lucky enough to get them. That's it.
Now, when you say its own septic, is that piped to a common septic tank, or each one has its own little septic tank?
You wanna answer that?
It will be pumped to one central tank.
Right.
It'll be designed. It may take, I don't have the answer for that, 'cause I haven't had the designer out there yet. It may take one in this field and one in this field.
Right.
But they'll be for design, for approval.
It's gonna be depending on the size of the leach field, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Yep. Well, we always use H20 chambers, the concrete chambers, they go on the roads, on the driveways.
Right.
Like usually the conventional leach field, you can place it off, you don't have traffic on it.
Yeah.
The H20 chambers,
You can
but
drive
they do what
over.
you want.
Nice.
I mean, it doesn't seem controversial, I mean, you know. So, I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Derek.
Derek, yeah. So, I mean, if you feel like we're being a little bit, skeptical, it's because just the history of this project is there's a lot of change, you know, it keeps changing and changing. And sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, sometimes for no obvious reason. And so, you know, this is just taking us a little bit like, okay, we gotta figure this out, get our heads around it. It doesn't seem to be on its face problematic. I mean, I take you at your word that you're not looking to eventually parcel this off, cause that's what it starts to look like. It starts to look like a subdivision, like a, but it doesn't seem controversial. I mean, I agree with you in the sense of this is all developed land, you know, it increases your density quite a bit, which, you know, aesthetically, that's your choice, that's not us.
Yeah, I mean, I can worry about that.
Right,
Yeah,
it's not
but
for us
it's, I'm not asking for 60, I'm not asking for 120.
But even if you were,
I'm asking for 24.
even if you were, I mean, it's just a difference in magnitude, not a huge issue, but, I mean, I think it's, if you're gonna move the pool, commit one way or the other to moving the pool, just cause that's,
The pool's gone.
no, but if you're gonna move the pool over to this other location, I mean, just make that decision. But otherwise, I mean, you know, it's a different plan, but it doesn't seem to be any worse. You know, from my perspective, I guess.
There are some statements about the road commissioner and the roads and, you know, having to turn around at the end. I think we need to formally talk to the road commissioner, because he asked me at the last selectmen's meeting that we did that when there was any development.
Yeah, so it makes sense, I mean, he's not even asking for
Yeah,
this, you know?
but I mean, even, you know, whatever it is, I think we should, show this to the road commissioner. I think we should, there's an assertion, I only skimmed this letter, there's an assertion about how we asked for, a different curve at the intersection of Malston Pond Road and Senator Black Road, and there's an assertion that,
That was
it was signed off on.
that was the letter that you had asked for last time, that was, all the conditions of the CUP, that from last time, what we met and what, if we weren't meeting and why we weren't.
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah.
Yep.
Remember in the original permit, it had a certain
I remember the whole.
turning
discussion.
radius and
Yeah.
the vehicle guy told it, the motor guy told us it had to be X, Y, Z, and then Gary talked to, which road commissioner was it?
Brian Anderson.
They talked to Brian and they decided they didn't need that turning radius that everybody was turning from.
Did our own engineer here on the planning board say it was okay?
No, he went to the road commissioner, which is probably the right place.
Okay.
I had a meeting up the other day with Mr. Kent, and we looked at the turning radius out there, and we would like to put like a wooden fence out on the corner, just to make it a little safer. But the radius is plenty wide, plenty of room out there for everything.
It's more it's the lack of a guardrail, and if you skid it, you go right over the bank.
Yeah, it is a little
That
depth.
was a good one if there was a.
So, where do we go from here?
I wanted to bring up one thing, so we'll just, I got a call the other night at home from, Bernadette, Monette. I always say Monet, you know, like the jewelry I used to buy my wife, so I'm sorry, Bernadette Monette. And, Bernadette indicated to me, if I have this correct, that there are some, boundary survey issues between her property and Nature's Wilderness.
Okay, where are we talking about, and how much are we talking about?
I think it's anywhere between 7 and 8 acres. The very first proposal with the Ray Garner survey
Okay,
was correct. Then Scott Efron
okay.
had surveyed.
By the way, I don't know Scott, I've never met him.
Well, he's gone now.
Okay. So,
Deceased.
so the 7 or 8 acres, okay, I'll look into it, but I'll probably just give it to you if it doesn't really have any impact to me.
Yes, well, the second survey was in conflict, and my attorney has reached out numerous times and not gotten any response, so.
Okay, let me give you my card, it has my cell phone number, and you can have your attorney call me anytime, I always answer. I also have counsel here in Portland, more than, happy to work with them.
Great.
Yep, anything else?
I saw one thing that was kind of interesting. We had talked about this, let's see. This was the original, letter that you sent out, 188 pages, the combined CUP application that we got for the last meeting. I've been going through my PDF version. An archery range may be established in a suitable location.
There'll be no archery at this property ever, you'll never see an arrow on that property.
That was involved before we got a CUP.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw it in there, there'll never be an archery there.
Yeah, because I thought we had eliminated that.
Yeah, we did
eliminate that. I didn't know why that's still,
Yeah.
it's still in here. Okay. I'll have to find somewhere else to shoot.
If I up in Arrowhead.
I saw that in there, I don't know how that got in there, but.
So what are we thinking is next? I mean, I'm sorry, Matt, you have anything else? I'm sorry.
No, I just thought that it was important that, before we, approve or get to the approval for this phase 2, 3 of the CUP, that all of the, boundary issues, with the neighbors are resolved.
And I agree with you 100%. What I'm proposing this evening is nowhere near her property lines. And by the way, I wanna work it out with you. I'm not even aware of it, but I'm sure it's trivial. You know, I think I have an idea where you live and where the property is.
Yep.
Like I said, I'd probably just give it to you.
And that,
But I'm-
well, actually, it's not really giving it to me because
What's
technically
right,
we already own-
whatever, it's insignificant to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll work with you,
Good.
okay?
So we'll,
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
we're not gonna slow down the process or hold it up. I just wanted to make sure that we have a fiduciary responsibility to look out for the citizens involved with, so
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
I can assure you, I will address it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll try to learn as much as I can about it,
Mhm.
and I'll take care of it.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I had two bees knees by the time she called me, so I wasn't sure I really remembered everything that she was telling me.
Yeah, it's a big property, as you all know, and, you know, sometimes that happens, you know, old towns, property lines, we're good.
Go ahead, David.
Oh, yeah, no. So what do y'all think is next?
It would be a site walk and public hearing, wouldn't it? Or do we need any other reviews? Do we need a review by the, road commissioner before we move to that?
Are we satisfied that the application is complete? Done down the checklist?
I had some, I did have one or two questions.
Sure.
Looking through this. On page 2, you refer to all sites will be designed to handle large RVs. What's a large RV?
It's a good question, I don't know the answer.
Maybe like a 30 to 40 foot one, I guess.
So anything over 30 feet is a large RV?
So,
I don't know.
yeah, no, I mean, they'll be designed to the same standard.
You know, I don't know the exact, what is the max, is it, we've never really dealt with that, but the biggest ones I've seen are like they're on bus size.
55 feet.
I thought it was 54, is it 55? Okay. Yeah.
You need those pull-through sites for the ones
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
correct, and we don't have a lot of them,
Yeah.
but, yeah, it's 55 feet.
Okay, I
Yeah,
just,
good question.
you know, just, yes. Words like large, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not to exceed 55 feet, I guess.
Well, I guess we do need a new application, right?
I would disagree with that. Why is that?
You have this January 17th one, this is the last one you submitted, right?
Yeah, that's the last one we submitted. That one was for the phase 2 of the previous plan.
The previous one, yeah, so, right, I would think we would want this for this.
Condensed to that, yeah.
Well, just like a clean out, that's always been the problem with it.
Yeah.
Cause it's so big for us, I mean, I know it's not a lot, cause this is what you do, but for us, it's a lot, so.
I actually scaled it back considerably, sir. I scaled it back to 24 at the recommendation of the code enforcement officer.
Okay,
I could have come in here and asked for 60 or 120,
that's cool.
but I'm only asking for the 24 on land that's right at the entrance that you've all been to 100 times.
Right, but you're walking in asking for it verbally, right? Like you submitted a map or two, and you're saying verbally, this is what I want, but the documents you submitted talk about the and multiple sites and all that, like.
I'm only
these
talking
doc-
about 24 sites today, sir.
I get you, but the documents that have been submitted aren't consistent with the new plan.
Okay.
So I think you need to update the documents to match the new.
So now I have to reset the clock on the application being accepted? It's like 30 days and 30 days and 30 days, and now all of a sudden I don't have my lots this year?
Well, we didn't change the plan,
Okay.
you changed the plan, so you get to reset the clock, I guess.
More or less at your suggestion.
I didn't,
If I can interject, because, you ought to be telling that to me maybe, because it's kind of my fault. I went out there at the invitation of Mr. Brown because I had no idea what this campground was all about. We spent quite a bit of time looking at it, and the way the phase two was, there was a chunk here, there was a piece here, there's a piece over here, and they were gonna have to build a really expensive bridge and a lot of infrastructure. And I had concerns for the stone marker, the historical marker on the Deacon Road, and some of these environmental sites. And they needed to do a whole lot to cover the huge increase in infrastructure. I said, maybe we could scale it down instead of doing it like 2 units of 60 or whatever it was gonna be in those 2 phases, maybe like 20 sites a year, and you wouldn't have to do a lot of that. So I gave a couple of suggestions, and that sort of initiated some of the change, but they didn't start that process. I did, because it just, after our discussions with subdivisions, where we're trying to look at the whole picture, rather than do chunks at a time, it seemed to make sense to revise this a little bit.
yeah, but they're big boys, they can figure out if it makes sense or not, I mean,
Right.
you know.
But I'm just saying, it's not like they came in with yet another change.
Hang on.
It was mostly due to a conversation I had with Mr. Brown. I
So,
just wanted to clarify.
David, you're not concerned with having to reset any clock, you're concerned with a clean copy.
That's right.
I don't know any clocks, I.
Right, you just want a clean copy.
Which
Yeah.
I'll
That
gladly
reflects
provide,
what they
sure.
want.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, I don't, yeah,
It would be
That's
absolutely-
easy to do.
We aren't trying
No,
to
that's
throw
very
problems
easy to
your
do,
way.
and quite frankly, I do it anyways.
Yeah, we're
Just
not,
my concern
yeah,
is, do I reset a clock and then I have another hearing? And now it's, because I only make my money, there's 5 months where I make it.
yeah.
Last year, I had to wait 3 months for the power company to sign off on my site. It cost me, I'm starting to incur damages out there. It's hurting me,
Yeah,
okay? And I share, and I respect your concern and share your concern. In fact, quite frankly, it was your like, you asked a lot of questions. You asked the right questions about when we were going over in this direction here. And I said, you know what, he's right, and Mr. Kemp was kind enough to make some recommendations. I looked at it, I said, listen, let's keep this thing simple, okay? Right here. It's not a residential subdivision that everyone seems to be concerned with. They pull through trail sites, that's it, and there's 24 of them. It's very, very simple. I'm not moving earth, I'm not cutting trees, I'm not relocating salamanders. It's right in front of you.
that'd be fun. You have a salamander catch.
I'll put them in your backyard too. Don't let them go into your property.
I have one more concern and question, and it's something I don't remember from the first go-round. The maintenance of Marston Pond Road. Was that the responsibility of the campground? No, it was not.
So the town took it away from them, so
Right.
the town wanted to do their own.
I remember
Except for the dry, except for the water.
Yeah, okay.
Everything else, you know, the maintenance of Marston came into play because they put the power line in there, and so, but that was all cleared up, and then the town said, we wanna deal with it, you shouldn't deal with it from going forward, right?
I think that was what the board at the time, but it's a town road.
Yeah, yeah, I know, that was, yeah.
So the
I'm
only thing they
always
have to
looking
do
out,
is.
Bob, just like you, I'm looking out for the money. And I'm, you know, concerned as we go forward with a new owner, you know, what your requirements for Marston Pond Road are. You know, don't go looking to Bob to improve it and pave it. he's the one, yeah, I would, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've talked to Gary about it, I mean, we
Yeah.
maintain our roads in a lot of our properties. It's,
Yeah.
you know,
Sure.
very similar roads in New Hampshire and Maine.
Yeah.
We maintain them, we don't want bumpy roads, because I don't want my customers screaming at me.
So, I guess what I'm saying is the road is an area that could be an area of contention. It's a town road. We like to have our guys responsible for it. On the other hand, as I told somebody the other night, last night, we can't afford to keep our roads in the manner to which they'd like to be accustomed. You know?
Okay.
I mean, we don't have the money.
Okay.
So, I don't know, I don't wanna cause a problem for the town by saying anything about you maintaining it, but it's just a question mark in my mind.
What would it cost me a year to maintain that road?
We would have no problem, you can, York rake it with town approval, stay on the same procedure with putting the,
Yeah,
thing down.
Talk to them, we've got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, no, we will gladly do it, it's not an issue, we get the heavy equipment,
We don't wanna pave the road,
yeah.
but we will,
No, you don't want
we have the heaviest use on that road,
yeah, oh, yeah.
so we understand that we
Yeah.
have to incur some of the,
Get a side letter, maybe with the road commissioners, on how we would do it?
Come to the selectmen first.
Okay, all right, yeah, we
Not a
gladly do
problem.
it,
Great.
it's not an issue as far as we're concerned, we'll
The
gladly
only,
take
the
care of
only
it.
concern we ever had was making sure that two large RVs could go by each other. Cause
Yep.
there's that one crook, some, you know, up beyond here, but there's that one place where it's a little sketchy, but
Yep,
the road guy said it was fine.
okay. So,
I'll get you all new plans ASAP, okay?
Yeah, I think it just needs to be a full package.
Just
that's
a new,
all.
updated cover letter to the existing package.
Well, just, like, instead of this,
Right, can
just
put it in one,
Just give
updated
us
cover
one
letter.
package, so we can put it up there,
Yep.
and, you know, and then, but I mean, I think this is all useful information, just put it in one package.
Yep.
We can do
Because
that.
technically your application is this, and.
No, I understand.
So then, what is your turnaround time on that, to get that in here?
And we could turn around the cover letter for that and the new package pretty fast, so.
Okay.
What's pretty fast?
Week, 10 days?
Yeah, we could do it in about, like, a week, 10 days.
Okay. So presumably we'll get that before the next meeting, right? So then, in terms of process, we've got a site walk, we've got a public hearing, and then we have a discussion meeting.
If the next meeting is March 9th.
Yep.
Okay, March 9th, and then, we put in to the, shopper's guide, a site walk and a public hearing. The site walk could be, let's see, Wednesday the 15th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We could have the site walk on March 25th, and the,
I won't be around March 25th. I don't know why we couldn't move that up earlier.
yeah.
I mean,
No, we just need the notice period, that's all.
yeah, I mean, I
Well, we
believe.
don't have to wait until the next meeting for the notice? Okay, well then.
No, but I
well
mean,
then-
if it's the next meeting, we don't have the package, we're gonna cancel it. But-
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well then, here's the fastest plan, okay? If we put a, notice in the shopper's guide on March 1st, okay? Because that's the next Wednesday, right?
Okay.
So, we would send them the notice, you know, like on tomorrow, the 24th. Or I think the latest we can get it in is if we go Monday, the 27th. But it's in the shopper's guide on the 1st. Then you take, you know, like 10 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. we could actually have a site walk on, March 11th, okay? So it goes in the shopper's guide on the 1st, you could have a site walk on the 11th, and then the second planning board meeting, then you would have a public hearing on the 23rd. So March 1st is the notice, March 11th is the site walk, and March 23rd is the public hearing. And that is according to our
Okay.
land use.
That's
our
very
bylaws,
reasonable.
That's the best that we can
That's
do.
very, that absolutely works for me.
And then when would you need the updated stuff from us for that? Just to confirm.
Before the ninth.
Before the 9th? Okay.
Because if you don't get it to us by the ninth, we're canceling it.
That's fine, okay.
Just to have
Okay.
some consent.
That's fair.
I got one quick question. As you guys were, pushing that quickly for us, but we've already done a site walk on this piece of property. Does that make any difference?
It's different than what we did last time. I mean, you guys did all that stuff. I think we have to do a sidewalk. I mean, this is
No
not.
problem, sidewalk is not an issue at all. In fact, I want you to come out and walk it, because I think you'll see where we're proposing it. You'll be like, oh, this is a layup, I mean, this is easy, so
Well,
I
think
actually
we
prefer
all
you
know.
come out to the
Yeah,
property.
I think we all know what it looks like. It's mostly
Yeah.
for the public.
Yeah, I get it.
They have an opportunity
Totally
to
understand.
see it, 'cause she may not feel comfortable walking on there without, an invitation.
Yep, no, anytime.
We could also do the sidewalk on the 18th. I mean, it doesn't change anything. It's
The 11th is a Saturday, and the 18th is a Saturday. Well, if we set it for the 11th, we can have the 18th as a backup.
Yeah, but you might still get snow up there, right? Yeah.
We have
I get it.
we have kind of a standard that if there's more than an inch or 2 inches or
Yeah,
on the ground, we don't do the
Okay.
sidewalk. Cause, not so much for this project, but just as a general proposition, you can't see your vernal pools, you can't see
Okay.
the topography, so.
you can't see sewer lines going out.
You can't.
Yeah, going into the pond, downstream,
We've seen.
Yeah, I'm sure you have, yeah.
I mean, we're flexible, but at
Okay.
some point,
I get it.
if there's too much.
Mother
snow,
Nature's Mother Nature.
I mean, I can plow that as well, so I can literally take a dozer and plow it right off.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens
Yeah.
when we get there. If you can stake out where the new sites are gonna be,
Sure.
like, it doesn't have to be perfect, just so we kinda know.
Yep.
Where the new pool may or may not go, depending on what you do, that would be helpful.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna do any of these, cause they're not really in play, but
Yeah, they're absolutely not in play, that's for sure.
Gary's Way, or whatever they're called. And then on the 23rd, we'll have a public hearing, or, yeah, the 23rd. Unlikely you'll get a decision on the 23rd, just because, there's a lot here for us to digest, and so if there's a bunch of people that show up, we're gonna have to figure it out, so.
But there is a chance the 23rd is a possibility.
I wouldn't hold your breath, but yeah, there's a possibility, and then
So what's a realistic date for me to aim at?
April 13th is probably where you're gonna get a full consideration.
So April 13th,
Yeah, so
Okay.
that would be the next meeting after the 23rd.
okay.
That's just the way the month falls, it's a long period between the meetings.
Well, one of the things that we have that we can use is, if anything comes up between now and then, we can address it in the conditions that we put on the CUP, because
Sure.
whenever we do a CUP, we say, okay, we're attaching these conditions.
Yep.
So one of the conditions could be resolving, Bernadette's, land issue.
Sure.
If, let's say, Taffy Morgan comes in and, to the public hearing and complains about the signs not being adequate, and she's getting trailers turning around and scaring or farm animals or something like that, which hopefully won't happen. You know, we can address that in the conditions, so it doesn't have to hold things up.
Okay, that's great.
So we as a board have to think about how to approach this CUP, because we have the existing CUP approval, which is a bit impenetrable to the normal person. But, I mean, it's a byproduct of quite a bit of work, so do we add to that, do we do like a red line of that, or do we do a whole new?
Well, so I've read the original CUP, which, why are we not still going off of that CUP? It's just phase two.
Well, that's what we're talking, that's what I'm asking, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Why would you need a new one, I guess, is what I'm asking. You already have a CUP in place.
that's what I'm asking. Like, what they think. Because we do have to change some of it, because I think he's right, like, there are some things that aren't relevant anymore.
Yeah, and then the CUP, just answer it.
Yeah, I would, going forward, you know, thinking over the next 5 years, you know, I would like to be in a situation where if we wanna understand the Nature's Wilderness CUP, we don't have to go back to a phase 2 CUP that was signed and approved, and then go back to a phase 1 CUP and try and juxtapose and figure out where we're at. I think we should have one CUP that is updated. So you take the phase 1 CUP, you update it, it can have a cover memo that highlights the changes, and we sign that so that we don't have, you know, on multiple chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah, did that make sense?
Yeah, and I think the question, so then the layered question is, do we change the text of what's in there, or do we just add something on, or either on the front or the back, what's new? Like, do we change what's in the middle, you know, what's there now, so this is what's there now, do we do a cover page saying, this is for phase 1 and 2, and just add something on the back end for phase 2, and not touch what's already there, or do we change what's there, integrate phase 2 into what's already there? I'm not sure it makes a huge difference, I just think we need to think about that.
We could change.
You guys do the CUPs, you know, you redline, you do
Yeah.
this, you do that.
So I was thinking what we could do is, we did redline that one with our latest one, we could do that again, but as an attachment, we could include the original, if anyone wanted to back reference it. I mean, it would be an attachment to the thing, and then the cover letter, like this one would be the updated redline one. And we didn't have the attachment of the old one in the last submission, but we could put the original approved in there for back reference.
Well, not the CUP, and not the request, I'm talking about the actual, you know, there was a finding of fact, and there was the approval. We don't have to answer it today, let's just think about it. I mean, I agree, simpler, better.
Yeah.
But I think we all have to think about what we're gonna do, so then when we get to that moment, we're all on the same page, already kind of thinking about that. You know, 'cause do we bring Lee in again? I don't think so.
No.
Reject?
Yeah.
I think this is, one of the reasons why it's to Derek's advantage to be doing this 25 sites at a time. It's not so overwhelming.
Yeah, you get your hands around it.
You can understand it.
Yeah, and when you do have the site visit, I mean, it's right, it's a layout, like, you know, it's.
Yeah, there it is.
You're not,
You can see
hiking
it
up the
standing all in one
mountainside,
place.
yeah.
I get it. No, I appreciate this, Derek.
I appreciate your time.
Let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
You're not gonna build any of the infrastructure for
this?
the loop-de-loop?
No.
No, I don't wanna spend the money.
Should we ask that the map for phase 2 not include that?
Not show it.
Not show it? Because everybody has gotten confused on that point.
At the phasing.
And when we put this up there at the public hearing,
No, there should be a map that shows what was there in phase one.
Yeah.
Then there should be a map that shows, phase one and what's being added in phase two. And then this map, can show, here's what it would look like in a
Potential
future phase if everything that was approved, if the 172 was in there. Just logical.
Yeah, very logical. It makes perfect
Yeah.
sense, actually. We'll take care of it.
So put that future map as your last
Yep.
map.
And like a figure kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, not part of the set really, but as a figure to it would be.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely confusing. When we purchased the property, the phases one and two kind of got intermixed on how they were supposed to, unravel.
yeah,
Even buying the property is incredibly confusing. In fact, I came here before you gentlemen and spoke about it.
Remember?
Yeah, the CUP, and I said, I wanna make sure that I can advance the ball here on the project. And you all said, yeah, you can. We've never said no, but you do have to adhere by a certain set of rules, and I'm all for it. And I absolutely agree with you. We should spell out what's been built, what it is, where it is, what we're proposing, and what we potentially may ask for at a later date. We'll
Great.
have that for you. I want it actually, for my office, so. Perfect sense. Any other questions?
Did we get a boundary survey for the 452?
That is, there's those two, it's in two, sheets one and two there of all the properties.
I'm not sure.
I just pulled out one boundary survey.
So you asked out a lot about the 452 acres, and I'm curious why the 452?
Because that's what the permit covered.
Okay, all right. And the only reason why I asked is where I'm proposing is well within that, it's right at the core.
Right, but those people are gonna walk up here and go hiking, and so the campground is a 452 acre parcel
Okay.
of property. And then at the edge of those 452, you gotta have those signs saying end of trail, end
Got
of
it.
trail, end
Okay.
of trail. So the 452 is important, because that's where your end of trail signs are. I don't know,
Because we own,
Scott used to own, and I think you purchased,
I did,
another 600 or so
something like that,
acres,
yeah.
over here, a little bit over here, a
Yeah.
little bit over there. So if you intend to use those as adding on to your trail system, that needs to be part, either they need a separate permit, or you need to make that part of this.
That is so far off my radar.
No,
All I am
but you asked the
focused on-
question,
Yeah,
why,
okay.
why 452?
Yeah,
Because that was what the permit was for, and we've never, I haven't looked at this last one, we've never got a final, complete survey of the 452. Like, we know it's out there, there's an old survey,
Yeah,
but there's not like a modern survey. It's like a survey from some dude in like 71.
I'll see, I, for some reason, 452 stands out, that I have a survey that's specific to the 452. Oh, was that
Yeah,
it right there?
there are
Okay.
two plans there that
I-
the surveyor sent us for those.
Okay, this is the 452?
Yeah,
It's still shipping, right? Correct. Yeah.
so it's in the two sheets that he sent us. We asked him for one of the whole property.
I don't see 452 as the number.
So, okay, talk me through it. Where do you see 452? Just so I can understand. We got
Oh, there you go. All right.
we got 3 maps here, so it's not this one.
Yeah, no, we sent this to
There's 2 maps. So here's Marston Road. Sheet 2, sheet 1, survey. So, orange flagging.
Yeah, oh, there you go. Yeah, so it should be, actually, right here.
Yeah.
All right,
So this kind of,
Yeah,
this kind of goes like that.
I know, you got it.
Okay.
Yep. So,
Here, wait, bring it together. So, do y'all see this? So, there's map one, there's sheet one, sheet two, and so this was like this. Yep. So orange flagging, diagonal, orange flagging, diagonal, concrete monument. So this overlay is there. So when you add,
Look at the entire parcel of Canton.
when you add this all up, that this is the 452.
correct. And there's obviously additional acreage. But, and I know you all know this, we're only in this area.
Yeah.
And I'm only proposing this
Your
area.
157 is your buildable area, which is
Yeah,
what
there you
the
go.
original plan was to disturb 157.
Correct.
Now you're only really planning to disturb about 110, if that, maybe even 95. Because you're taking this right here, you're not going up there.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I mean, that's.
I think we're gonna talk about some other,
Okay.
Issues, there's some
But
budget
see,
issues.
the problem was always up here.
NLD two
Is
thousand
when
and three issue
Scott, I don't know, but when Scott was around, he wanted to run the trails up there, so we said, that's cool, but you have to include that in
CUP issues.
your plan, and so then they said, we're not gonna do that, and, which is totally fine, I mean, that's all your, that's the landowner's purview. But that's why we said, you gotta have the whole 452. And the other thing is, you can't sell off
Yeah,
the
they just have
452, which was, historically, there was some question whether or not a couple pieces were gonna be parsed off, so that's why we put the 452 in, so we all,
I'm not
knew.
doing anything.
No, I know, but you have to.
Everyone, yeah, it's real simple business model. Campground, not building houses, not selling parcels. I just wanna build a campground, try to make a living. That's simple.
I guess, okay, that's great, this is fantastic. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Sorry, one thing, we're gonna do the sidewalk at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Whatever you want, you guys make the call.
I'm gonna say 9 o'clock, okay?
You wanna talk tomorrow? You wanna give me a call?
If you want it,
I'll
if you want it, like, loud, you know, give me a little heads up.
Shake your hand.
File everything back, everything staked out that you wanna see.
We're gonna do it in the morning, we'll do it at 9.
What I'm saying is, do you want the snow
Yeah,
plowed off and
okay.
see the ground itself?
I see the ground, I don't.
Yep.
I'm just throwing it out there, I won't plow it if you need it.
Okay, so we've got more business.
Yep.
If you guys, we're happy, if you're happy.
I understand what's
and
going
then-
on, so.
Yeah.
Gary, are any of the sites going to be seasonal sites that somebody can purchase for the season?
We're doing them as transient. Is what we're
Any
looking
more
at.
than 30 days.
Okay, yeah, I
What's
noticed
that?
that.
Any more than 30 days.
We never had any rent for the 30 days.
No,
That's
no,
the
there's a
issue.
lot of the campgrounds I used to go to, or I still go to, you know, they have people that.
Oh, no, we have seasonal sites, they're all Jim Hill. But these are pull through transient.
Oh, but the 24 are pull through, but you do have some seasonal.
All the seasonal sites are.
Oh, you do have seasonal.
Yep. So the seasonals are set up in the hillier areas where you can't pull camp in and out easily.
Yeah.
So they set on May 1st, October 31st, they park their camper there, and they stay October 31st,
Yeah.
they vacate from.
My water.
There's not any of that?
They're going
Not all year.
I don't, no, we're only allowed May 1st, October 31st.
Okay, so time out, so are we done?
Yeah.
We're done.
Alright.
How'd you answer the question?
So Bernie and Derek.
Bernie, Derek.
Could you move the conversation to the whole?
Sorry about that.
No,
Please talk to each other, but we got other stuff.
Are we done?
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Hey, did you have to make a donation to have a road named after you?
He can maintain it too.
Tell Craig to send it, electronically.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
So, Fremont Woods subdivision, and you had some questions. It's a wonderful thing. We are cooperating a lot more with the code enforcement officer. He's taking up all my time, 40, 50 hours a week, in these conversations. But it's really nice, he's asking us questions, and he's asking our advice, and he wants to be, in agreement with us, and talk things through, which is just a really nice thing as far as I'm concerned. So, Fremont Woods subdivision was one of his questions. Do we have the conditions?
Well, the plan is right here, but it's gone.
This has been the
Conditions.
And
It was right here last meeting, because we looked at it, and I put it right back.
there's a lot for sale there right at the moment, and it's subject to conditions that, and deed restrictions, or restrictions by the planning board. I couldn't find out where they are.
So you say they were here
I
last
wasn't
week?
here then.
Well, the plan was there, remember we took it out and looked at it.
Yeah, but the
Yeah,
conditions.
so we can figure out the
Well,
driveway. so
what do you mean
yeah.
by conditions, though? So conditions for a subdivision are mean something different.
Okay,
So the conditions for a subdivision are on the subdivision.
so they're on the map. Are there any? Dawn?
No, they had the idea somewhere you can't put a mobile home there, but that's not what they wanna do.
Well,
I had the submission here.
And
I think that we mentioned that though, didn't we?
what it is, it's, the guy with the whistle stop is looking to buy a piece of land where he can build some housing for his employees, which gives them affordable housing, which
Yeah.
makes a whole lot of sense. But the question is, to what degree can that happen on that lot? And, I've read the deed doesn't list any deed restrictions that I saw. On the other hand, the deed covers the whole parcel, over 100 acres, and down near the bottom of the deed is a being a part of. So it looks like you're getting this huge parcel of land, but in reality, it's like 2.5 acres.
and if he waits till July 1, he can build 2 houses on it.
Well, my understanding is he can go as far as 1 2-family house
No,
on that, but
you can
maybe.
build a house in an accessory building.
Yeah, but he could build a multi, you could go,
Yeah,
you could go 4 years.
Yeah, 4,
Which would make him very happy, I suspect.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Once this new law kicks in, instead of 40 hours a week, it'll be more like 80 or 100.
Fremont Woods.
What was the issue?
The guy that owns the Whistle Stop wants to buy a piece of land in that development to build
I think it's lot
affordable
5.
housing for his employees.
This one.
One of the lots.
This is for
I
you,
don't know if
Bruce.
anything got in
Like it comes out.
Because Don wants, the other Don wants our advice.
Right.
Whether he did.
And, what,
Well, he
yeah,
said he didn't do that. He said, remember, he said, I don't do anything about building.
For the rest of his life.
What lot, is it that he's looking at, Don?
I believe it's lot, either 5 or 6, I'm pretty sure it's lot 5. It's the one that's for sale.
Alright.
Okay.
I think it's this one, the house is going up in there already. We just started that one, I think it's this one. So I'm pretty sure it's.
Which, has frontage on Sand Pond Road.
It's frontage from Sand Pond Road.
Yeah.
I may be wrong on that, I should have correct, I must be. It's either 5 or 6, I'm pretty sure it's lot 5.
And he wants to do what with it?
Well, he wanted to know what he could or could not do on the land. That's what the realtor wanted to know, and they found it confusing, and so I said I would clarify that with the planning board before I make the call. No, not at all. No. It's more, I said, I'm pretty sure you can do a 2-family house there or a single-family house. Beyond that, I'd have to check.
That's where 2003 started.
Well, exactly, and I mentioned that to him too, it could change in a couple of months.
That's not an if. Well, but there is a.
Yeah,
There is a
conditions are
possibility,
right.
we're gonna talk about that,
These are our
it's possible.
conditions.
We are reading.
Those are the only conditions, because they thought there was some other restriction.
Well, in land use, I mean, under the land use ordinance, they would put restrictions on it as well.
Right, I mean, other than the land use ordinance, it just has those. Okay, well, that's easy. Okay, yep.
Yeah.
And I remember talking about that house too, yeah.
We would have, if we
Maybe
want to
people
put
in
in
the
a
trailer park, but they want
land use ordinance, subdivision ordinance,
If it's a full
we
house
would have
lot,
to
it's
start
really
with changing our definitions. We don't even have,
Yeah.
we don't even have the.
They're not asking, so they said that was the only one they could find, and that's news to me, I hadn't even heard about that one, and I would check.
Okay, are we good about Fremont Woods subdivision?
What's the answer?
So as of now, they can put 1 2-family house there if they want to.
Yes.
It's possible it might be different in a couple of months, but
Yeah.
no guarantee.
As long as it meets
Good.
the ordinance, I don't know if there's any restrictions on two-family houses.
Not for there, as long as the setbacks are right, we've got that.
So,
But it's okay for a two-family, correct?
Mhm. Yes, it is, unless it's restricted somehow in the subdivision.
discussion about LD 2003. And that, I emailed out LD 2003, and Mike mailed back to me this handy dandy guide that really
Illustrations.
made sure that I didn't know what was going on.
I went through it today and I go, oh no, no.
Oh, not exactly.
The one here, let me, this is the first one that hit me, keep going.
That's right in there if I need to read that.
You should put it over here.
A little bit further.
We'll get in there.
Well, maybe it's right here.
He's done a great job.
Not permitted.
Give me a couple-
They got
couple
one
of minutes,
unit
I can-
requires 10,000, that's permitted. One unit requires 10,000, you know, these are different right here, but this is the
Yeah.
same.
No, I just think that find out. if it's something
So,
within our position.
we get to, if we want to, we get to modify this, tweak it a little bit here and there.
Mhm.
For the maximum size of the accessory dwelling.
Maximum size, 191 square feet.
Yeah, it can't be less than 190, but we can put a maximum size on it at 191.
We can make that decision.
And I guess one of my questions mentioned it to Don, was
Isn't there a minimum size requirement?
190.
190.
Pretty small.
Sure is.
Kind of small. I got rooms bigger than that. If you take into account all the setbacks, and you take into account the leach field and the sewerage and a well for 2 houses, how much room do you have on the lot?
You don't have a lot more, that's for sure.
Mm.
I kind of worry about soil saturation in a place like Baldwin where the ledge is close to the surface.
The only thing that might be different is, let's say you got a 20-acre parcel, and somebody bought that, and they wanted to put in 4 2-family houses as an investment kind of thing, without splitting it all up. Theoretically, they may or may not be able to do something like that, depending on how that all comes out. Maybe I'm totally wrong.
There's a lot, there's 20 acres, you still get
Well,
a house and an accessory dwelling.
but you'd have more room in terms of not saturating the water or whatever. So it might depend on the situation.
And can we,
I would just comment on that, you know, the state's minimum lot size of, what? Not even an acre, I don't think.
It isn't? Oh, wow.
No, I mean, and so what they consider to be sufficient to support a septic system, I think is much smaller than what we have as a minimum lot size, but, you know, it's a question of the shape of the lot.
Yeah.
Joe was going the right spot, if it's all edge, it could be 4-acre lot.
Right.
It'll still not
Right.
work.
Or
You should, yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
It depends on your lot. You might make no place there, but as Gary was saying, you can put a septic just about anywhere nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over that.
You put a holding tank, but.
No, you can put it, you see the one in my backyard,
Yeah.
it's a big one.
And I guess one of the
That's
questions.
Steve Estes sandpit.
One of the questions here is, do we want to do anything to amend this to make Baldwin unique in how we handle this?
Well, let's go with Matt and I were talking before, there's a lot of stuff in here that we don't do.
I started going through
I
this.
went through it, we both went through it.
And just, they have all these definitions, so the first thing I did is, I said, well, the definitions that they have, do we have them?
No.
Some we don't even have the definitions. The definitions that they have, are not the same as the wording of the definitions in our stuff. And we have definitions relative to housing in the land use ordinance that don't even agree or are differently worded than in the subdivision ordinance. So, I guess my point is that, you know, there's a tremendous amount of work, to take what's in LD 2003 and think about updating our land use ordinance and our subdivision ordinance. I don't think it's necessarily something that, we're particularly capable of, especially when we're in the midst of our, comprehensive plan.
I agree.
Is this where we should ask LJ for some help?
No?
The reason I brought it up, I brought the topic up, on July 1st, he's gonna deal with it.
Right.
So,
And
sorry.
it would be nice to have some direction to him, is how he handles these requests. Otherwise, he's gonna be using our land use ordinance, and he's gonna be using something else, disagrees with it.
My thought is that we need kind of an overlay, rather than going through and changing or trying to change the land use ordinance and the subdivision ordinance right now. First of all, this is going through public hearing, so that's why they sent it out, because there were public hearings in March on this, or there were.
DEP is talking about how they're gonna supervise the implementation of that.
Yeah.
But what's in there is law.
So, I'm thinking that we might ask LJ's advice, LJ Feldman, and ask him to help us with the ordinance. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I mean, the other side to do nothing, that's fine, no one's gonna have a problem.
Yeah, well, that's why, let's,
Yeah.
you know, rather than us stumble around through it while we've got 4 and 5 people coming in front of us, get somebody who can do it.
Here's the memo that Reagan Young sent out. Please see below and attach the DECD's Notice of Rulemaking, Chapter 5, Housing, which is this. And they also sent out the Chapter 4, which is Housing Opportunity Program grants. And that's technical assistance grants. If Baldwin was so, if we were to say, we're in favor of, you know, better housing and more dense housing and everything like that, and we'd like your help in updating our municipal ordinances to promote this kind of housing, then you can apply for one of those grants. But you don't wanna apply for one if you're not in favor of doing that. But here she says, the rule is currently in public comment period, which ends March 13th, 2003 at 5 p.m. Please direct your comments on the proposed rule to the DECD contact below, Benjamin Averill, blah, blah, blah. There'll also be a public hearing held over Zoom on March 1st at 1 p.m. registered here. And from that, I got the impression that if they're holding a public comment and a public hearing, that some of this could change.
I don't think the law is gonna change.
Just the implementation?
It's like when Congress sends a law up and signs it and leaves it to a federal agency, for implementation. But the law is the same, and it's pretty straightforward. I think the meat of it is, we're gonna have to allow accessory dwelling units, tiny homes, you name it.
The only question I have is, do we get BJ's help or Reagan's help? I mean, I'm not volunteering to write this.
I can contact them and ask them what they could do to help us, because I'm in touch with them on the comprehensive plan on a weekly basis.
There's things in here that really stand out, like number 4 on page. Growth caps are prohibited. We have a growth cap. How do we handle that?
Put fence. Well, I guess what I was suggesting is that here, if we were to redo and revise our land use ordinance and subdivision ordinance to be in sync with LD 2003, that's probably going to be a longer process than when it becomes law in July. I would imagine it's going to take a while, because that's something we have to take to special meetings and get approved and everything. I would think what would be helpful to Don is if we had not a whole law like this, where you have to go through and try and pull things out, but some kind of a summary that says, here are the key things that your CEO has to know that are changes to your current ordinances, and just, whether it's lot size, whether it's growth caps, whether it's, residence or multifamily residences per acre, or whatever it is, just gives you a cheat sheet that's comprehensive.
That would be extremely helpful, because the number of calls and emails I'm getting about this.
How we get there would be asking Southern Maine Planning if they could do something like that for us.
That would be extremely helpful. I don't even have that packet that's more complicated than this out there.
We also want to ask them what we can change. We'd like to think a little bit about this and see if there's anything that we can change, that we wanna change.
There's a lot of things in here that the comprehensive plans should be dealing with too.
Yeah.
And I think that using the comprehensive plan as a vehicle to make these changes is a good idea. That's what, we're gonna have to take the results of the survey and what people want in terms of development or land protection or anything like that, and see what that suggests for our ordinances. as well as, whatever state mandates have happened. All that has to be woven into, the changes that we make to our ordinances from the comprehensive plan.
Yep, and we may
But
find
I'm
ourselves.
just saying is that comprehensive plan or not, it's gonna happen July first.
Right.
And so you're gonna get him in the middle of it and probably do something that,
Maybe we
whatever.
can-
Exactly, there's stuff in here that doesn't, that's completely contrary to our
Yeah.
ordinance,
Yeah.
that he's gonna have to deal with.
Exactly, that's the dilemma.
I will ask Lee J and Reagan if they can work up a cheat sheet for you by July first.
I would appreciate that immensely. Anything we can do is better than what we've got, which isn't a whole lot of direction right now.
Well, we will continue to talk about LD 2003.
I propose putting a cap on the size, I'm telling you, that's the quickest way to deal with it.
One extra foot.
Well, you're right,
If
because
it
it's
says
not
in there,
gonna
you can
sound.
cap it,
Yeah,
you can cap it, the municipality can cap, it just has to be over 190 square feet.
At the
so,
size of a accessory dwelling.
do you
It
think
doesn't deal with everything, like, you got other stuff in there.
It does.
But the accessory dwellings, if you make them super small, they're less attractive, you're not gonna have as many.
But then if you go get, with the building code, that limits it to like 400 square feet, if they have a limit.
Exactly.
The 190 would trump our ordinance.
But I'm saying that even the building code, state building code, would trump the 190.
Oh, I don't know, that's an interesting
Right, Don?
question.
I think you're right.
I think I'm right on that. It's like 400 square feet.
And then everybody's gonna wanna build a whole lot of the 400 square foot ones.
I would be pretty sure that the intent was to have 190 because LD 2003 was pushed by the manufacturers of tiny homes. And,
No, I think tiny homes is a separate piece of legislation.
That's a whole different separate piece.
A year earlier, I think. The tiny homes was passed a year earlier.
but that's where the 190 square feet.
No, it
comes
doesn't.
from.
No, I don't think
No?
so.
Oh, okay, okay,
The tiny homes is 400, it's like 400 square feet.
okay.
Pretty sure it's 400.
Okay, 400.
Hmm.
So 400 is the minimum, so,
I think it's somewhere in the 400, maybe up
Something like that.
to 490 or something, but it's
Exactly.
around 400.
It's around 400.
David, can you come up with something that the next, special town meeting or town meeting we could, have?
Well, I think we gotta start with this,
Yeah,
these
okay.
DJ folks and
Right.
figure out what we, you know. I mean, I just read it, and that was my first take was, but there's other stuff, like you were saying, I mean, you know, the restrictions on permits.
Yeah,
Do we keep them?
I think you can keep them. I don't know what you're reading there, but my understanding is that accessory dwelling units cannot be counted as a growth.
Right.
yeah.
But I
Agreed.
still think you can still have growth ordinances.
It says here, you can
Some
read it.
discussion either way on that, I've heard it both ways.
But even if it says that, like, so
Talk
this
about
law will
building permits.
probably last as long as the Democrats
Talk about
government.
building, state building permits.
So as soon as we don't have a Democrat governor, this law's probably gonna go away. Not that I know anything, I'm just saying, like this, people don't like this,
Oh, yeah,
so,
But there's a potential to make a radical change in a town like Oakland.
oh, absolutely.
This is coming out of definitions.
but somebody needs, I mean, this Lee J or whoever needs to tell us, like, this law, what in our ordinance is problematic,
Sometimes things are, as you
like,
see,
like
are
directly contrary.
Smoke that up,
If this is one, I don't know.
pre-draft, I think.
Okay.
No, this is just a bit, I got the last, this is the cover sheet.
Cause, none of us read legislation for a living.
I tried.
This is the cover sheet on it.
More and more the state ends up telling the town what
Yeah.
to do, that's unfortunate.
And,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
it says it's 190 feet, unless the Technical Building Code and Standards Board pursuant to 10 MRS 9722 adopts a different minimum standard.
There you go.
If so, that standard applies. So apparently, right now, that's 190 square feet, but if the Technical Building Code and Standards Board changes it from 190 feet, then that standard applies. But, what you were saying is next is municipalities may set a maximum size for accessory dwelling units in local ordinances as long as the accessory dwelling units are not less than 190. So we could set it at 191, and that would stand unless the technical building codes and standard boards changed what they have.
It's like 10 by 20.
And, can we define porches into that square
And
footage?
I was got the 2003.
You have to read the definitions to see how they define the dwelling. Because they weren't defining porches and stuff for a while, right?
Because,
You could have a tiny house with a massive porch
yes,
enclosed, and that wasn't part of your building size.
and that's why I would like to,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
can we change that definition?
Yeah.
I think we got something to do.
So we've got one more thing, two more things we've got to get through tonight. Budget for next year,
5,000.
5, why not 10?
It's a little more complicated.
So we've got two budgets we're talking about, because we're talking about our budget where we have been asking for $2,000, which covers our expenses. And then we've got,
The final price on the comprehensive plan was $27,550, but we were gonna split that over 2 years. I think that in the last town meeting, we approved 15,000. Yeah, so the first thing is that for the next year, we have to approve the difference between what was approved in the last fiscal year minus 27,550 to cover the second part of it. Now, the other thing is that we're gonna incur expenses for the, sending out the postcards. And I'm working through that right now, but my best guess right now came out to $1543.59. I would just say we need $2,000 for, survey, postcard mailings and stuff.
We'll take that. I mean, don't tell it to me. Email it to me, cause I'm gonna forget it.
I'll email you all this
Yeah,
stuff.
that'd be good, yeah.
Unless there's an updated on 2020, maybe, was there a 2022 annual report? Because we had 15,000 in the 2021 annual.
no, we don't have a 2022.
There was an interim.
This is the email I got from Bob.
Yeah, see, the comprehensive plan was,
The email he got.
was Article 68. That's Article 67. Here's Article 68. Oh, so it was only 5,500. Select board, raise it to 15,000, right, which is this.
Yep,
Okay,
okay?
yeah, so it looks like it's gonna be 27,550 minus 15,000 plus 1543.59.
And we
So
want
have you
to-
already paid,
I don't know whether they billed us anything or whether we paid anything.
It's complicated because if the money doesn't get paid, but carries over, so the selectmen need to make a vote to carry the money over so we can spend it, so we don't have to vote on it again.
Well,
So when you talk, tell them to send the bill.
yeah, I'll ask Debbie whether anything's been paid.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll ask them if they billed us anything, but I'll try and get to the bottom of the budget stuff too. find out what the status is, and I'll send you this formula.
Thank you.
And the planning board wants 2,009.
In addition,
What is it?
more than.
Email it to you?
More than what we're gonna pay for the,
Yeah, that's your budget, but it's under the planning board line item, I guess, or.
Well, we can put them on two separate, warrant items.
Yeah.
Let's keep the comprehensive plan, since that was Article 68. We'll do the 27,550 minus what was done before, plus the incremental cost for the mailings and stuff, and that'll be in the comprehensive plan article, and the planning board will be, planning board.
Okay.
We'll send out a memo with that number for the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
I get it in a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Joe, you remember that we bought a box full of those little handout land use guide from Southern Maine Regional Planning Commission?
The books.
A little booklet?
Yeah.
Where are they?
Robin, like that?
Yeah.
That's years ago.
No?
No.
Recently?
Yeah.
Hmm?
Next year. I think they went to Robin.
In the end? Are they here? Did you guys get one?
No.
Did you get one?
No. It would be in here, in my filing system, and it's not here.
Under L.
Yeah, under L. Under B, booklet.
Yeah, those.
No, I never even seen one.
Oh, I see that over
We
there.
bought a whole bunch.
Yeah,
Where did
we
they go
got,
over there?
I can tell you.
They were for you folks.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, they can come in, all right.
I've never seen it before.
I make it 7 plus the one I gave you. Anybody want one?
Okay, well, it's yours. Thanks, huh?
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, goody, we got presents tonight.
Oh, we got meetings here tonight.
Would you tell them to increase the size of the print, some of the people who volunteer and.
So the answer to your question, now we have 3 left in reserve. That's right here.
No, you keep reading my pleading emails to come to me. So, Glenvale, Don Kent would like our opinion. Is that the way to put it?
I think so, because the situation is it got extended once, and I think our ordinance says you can't do it twice. But in talking with folks, it seems like they've made a start, and it depends what you determine a start to be. I just found out today they've got a solar panel and a weather station out there. They put a fence around it, that they have to monitor the site in terms of what they have to do with all their connections and everything. They've done 3 or 4 other things. They've been held up for a lot of things, like a lot of folks have lately, through no fault of their own. But their extension runs out, I think it's May 13th, so they're right up against it. And they don't want to commit huge amounts of money and finally have to start all over again. And I asked them if they were gonna change anything in their application, they said no.
So would you say they've already started?
In my opinion, they've made a start. Is it a substantial start? Maybe not, but on the other hand, do we wanna go through that all again and put them through it? Because they have to answer to investors, it's a whole long line of things they have to go through.
What is it they have done there?
They put up a weather station, which is solar powered and fenced. They've gotten the driveway permit from the state, and there are 2 or 3 studies that the state has required that they're in the process of doing.
Would you say that the use authorized by the approval has commenced or not commenced?
I would say it's borderline, certainly.
David's shaking his head that it hasn't commenced.
Well, it depends where you
Have they
draw
cleared the
the line.
lot, have they They built the road?
Yeah, the
they
use
put in-
wasn't for a weather station.
Yeah.
Okay.
What, you say we can't approve a second extension, is that?
I think that they have a letter from the planning board that said they can't extend it again by ordinance, and I looked up the ordinance, and I would read it that way as well. So in that case, they would have to reapply and start the whole process over again.
Well, let's read this together. It's standard condition 4. The approval shall lapse and become null and void if the use authorized by the approval is not commenced within 1 year of the date of the approval, or if the use is abandoned for a period of 1 year thereafter. Where there is good cause for the delay or the discontinuance, and there is no evidence of intent to abandon the use, these requirements may be extended for additional periods not to exceed 1 year. Does that mean that you can't add on year after year, or does that mean that you can only extend it for a period of 1 year?
Sounds to me as if
Periods.
year after year.
Periods, yeah.
Yeah, your increments can only be 1 year.
Right.
Yeah.
A couple of people in their legal team questioned that very thing, and they wanted clarification of that as well. Because if you feel you can extend it for another year and a year beyond then with just cause, they're looking ideally to start a year from this June to do the construction if they're going forward with it. That's my understanding.
Well, I know that we told them that it wouldn't be extended, but that was because, when we first did the extension, Hiram gave them an extension for a year, but told them that they wouldn't extend it for another year. So I said the same thing in my letter, but, you know, you can read our land use, well, the land use ordinance is 2 years, and it doesn't say anything about renewal. The conditions say 1 year, and then you have periods. So you could read this to give them continual 1 year. Let me, Joe asked me to research this, and I wanted to check this with you, David. Here's what we would probably have to do. If we took a hardline view of this and said, once it expires, you can only do it for an extension for 1 year, and then you have to redo the CUP, what the solar farm could then do, we would decline to renew it. They could go to the appeals board and get the appeals board to approve it. And the appeals board could take a look at the existing CUP, not require anything new, and then approve it. But that would be, unless we went through an entire new CUP process, going through the appeals board might be the quickest way for them to get an approval.
I think the appeals board could approve something that's not within the ordinance.
I think you're absolutely correct. That's the issue.
Have you seen our appeals board yet?
I made them.
Yeah, I know, but.
Gary McNeil, but.
No.
The problem is they're talking about, they have to make their investments a fair distance ahead. And if the thing runs out and there's only a very short period of time, it's not realistic for them to schedule everything they have to do.
If we would decline it, if we make a decision, within 35 days of the public hearing, the planning board shall reach a decision on the conditional use application and will inform the applicant. So we tell the applicant, no, we're not renewing it. Upon notification of the decision of the planning board, the code enforcement officer, as instructed, shall immediately issue with conditions prescribed by the board or deny a building permit. Okay, The decision of the planning board may be appealed to the Board of Appeals as an administrative appeal pursuant to Article 7, Section 7.3, so.
Well, the problem is there's no guarantee that the appeal would be upheld. And they need to know, at least this is what I'm hearing from them, they need to know that as long as they're making progress, they can go forward. They had hoped to start it this summer, but for a huge list of reasons, not their fault, they can't do it until next year at the earliest.
I think I was remiss in writing the original letter, which I have here. It is here I said it is unlikely that a second extension would be granted rather than a resubmission of the CUP and subsequent review and approval process would likely be required. So I didn't say it wasn't, I said it was unlikely.
Yeah, I think that's generally right. Like, we don't want these CUPs to be stale.
Yeah, so it's unlikely, but I didn't tell them absolutely not. And when we read the standard conditions 4, it said may be extended for additional periods not to exceed 1 year, so we extended for another year.
If they knew you were going to do that, I think they'd be happy at this point. There's the impression that it can't be, and that's why we're having a discussion.
No, it was unlikely not.
And I guess, a definition of what constitutes the beginning of the project. What do you need to have done so that they're in compliance? And it's unfair to me what that would be.
Yeah, but they need to start the project. They haven't done it.
Is it on the ground starting, or is it starting in terms of going through all the state approvals and lining up all the material and supplies, some of which take 6 months or a year just to order. If you're lucky, you can get them. And that's sort of the issue I think they're grappling with. That's my understanding anyway.
Well, they're gonna be allowed to do it. Like, we're gonna figure out a way they can do it. That's not the issue.
Well, if we
Frank,
could
you're
come
right.
up with a
We're
way.
not the problem. The CMP is the problem.
Exactly.
CMP is not granting the connection permits to any of, we have 3 of them in Baldwin that are all facing the same thing, that they aren't able, they're not going to start and break ground and start putting all those expenses in and kicking off the investment until they get a connection agreement from CMP, and CMP and the whole electrical grid across the whole country is not able to handle the influx of all of the wind and solar power projects that are being started. So it's a national problem, not just a Baldwin problem, but it is a specific CMP problem that is holding up the 3 open solar farms in Baldwin.
Well, why don't we make a finding that our reading of that condition is that we can grant multiple extensions, but we're limited to 1-year extension, and then invite them to come back in at a fairly soon meeting to ask for an extension.
Yeah, that's.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I move that we do a finding of fact that our current standard condition number 4, it's our interpretation that multiple extensions can be granted, but each extension is limited to a 1-year period of time.
Well, we should put a footnote on that we have to be sure that we're not going to be able to see the solar panels from the road.
I'm waiting for him to build it. now to take that picture and send it to that guy. What was his name? I don't remember his
Yeah.
name.
We have a motion, we need a second, I'll second.
Do you want to read the motion back to us? Because it got a little confusing there.
The motion is that we would approve multiple extensions on a one-year basis, like that.
Along,
According
in
with-
the standard conditions for
According
conditional
with
use
the
number
standard
4.
condition 4, got it.
And and seconded, any further discussion?
I think it's a good idea.
All those in favor, all those opposed, okay, thank you.
All right.
So we are also, with that, so we'll have the minutes for you,
Okay,
and then we will have a request that they come in and ask for.
all right. That's
So when does the existing one expire?
May 13th.
No.
No, it's May 13th, that's right, we've got a couple of months.
Got a couple of months.
They got a couple.
They're not gonna build it that quick.
We're gonna sit here waiting for them to come to us.
So I think they'd be willing to do that, they just want assurances that if it's an option to go forward under,
We gotta come in and out.
okay. I will relate that to them and that a letter's going out and that they need to request a time to come in and ask for it.
You don't need to send a letter. You don't need to send a letter.
Well, I mean, I can do that by email or something.
Yeah, yeah.
I just told them I'd get back to them. I've had 3 different people from that company on the phone just today trying to figure that out. I could give them-
Aiden,
Yes.
waiting to tell it, take,
Aiden was
send the photograph to Aiden.
He was so happy that he was ahead of me in line. And we've been producing electricity for almost a year now.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You can't see it from the road.
And you
That's
can't
right,
see it from the
yeah.
road. And we never even made that statement either.
Not a single person has complained about yours.
No.
Maybe a hunter or two whose habitat is messed up.
So, anything else for us, Don?
I have nothing at this time.
Thank you. I think the way we're working together is great. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate all the help from the planning board, too. I'm very important.
I'm a chauffeur for Don tonight.
Okay, so a meeting a motion to adjourn is in order.
Second that.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor, we're adjourned. Thank you.